So now you can actually see, and there's new trinkets as well. They added some cool shit. There's one for each of the Titan Pantheon, and there's actually one for Amanthul, which, like they say, looks like an unstable Arcanal Crystal 2.0. And why, God, why would you do this? I have no idea. I really don't. But they all have pretty cool abilities. Those are pretty cool. But let me get to the actual dungeon journal. So it says here, the unmaking of creation. The speaker has heard the anguished whispers of the unmaker, an emerald star calling out from the darkness. Little is known of him, only that his once noble soul has been twisted by ages of endless torment. Now we know this, we've seen this for a while, but they added some of the actual abilities into the fight. Now it looks like a pretty solid fight. I mean, a pretty decent amount of mechanics going on. But some of the main ones that I want to talk about is Avatar of Agramar. So Agramar grants a player a measure of his strength, increasing health by 200% and movement speed by an undefined percent for 1 minute. The Avatar of Agramar also grants Agramar's boon to all nearby players, redirecting damage taken to nearby players to themselves. Any damage taken while a player is the Avatar of Agramar grants Titanic Essence. And the Avatar of Agramar also gains access to the ability, I'm not even going to try to pronounce that, Tessalat, I don't know how to say that, technique, the weapon that Agramar wields, the sword. Now, this seems to be that we're going to actually have players transforming into kind of an avatar of Agramar. I mean, that's what they call it. So I assume that player will likely grow slightly larger. From what we've seen in this fight, there hasn't really been any actual mechanics from the recent testing. If you saw my last video, you saw that there really wasn't anything that happened. However, we get to a point where we get to the Arcane Masters. Now, there's actually several stages here where they have Norganon's Aid, the Discs of Norganon, Amanthul's Aid. I mean, there are several portions here that show us that the Titans are actually involved in this encounter and are actually helping you rather than just sitting there and watching as they seemed to be in the footage we saw before. We see it from ANR as well. We go into the Spirit World. So Hungering Souls stalk the Spirit World, released by Argus's Wrath. If they come into contact with any ghost, they will burst, applying drained soul to any nearby ghost. So the main point here that we're seeing is we are actually getting aid from all of the Titans throughout this fight. There's actually a point where Khaz'goroth, if he has at least 20 Titanic Essences, which the mechanics, if you come here on Wowhead and read this and explain how it works, he'll begin to channel Titan Forging. And players can collect motes of Titanic power within the Spirit World to grant Khaz'goroth Titanic energy. So when he does this, it grants, it actually reforges us in his image, and granting us 15% increased damage and healing and 15% increased movement speed as long as he's able to channel Titan Forging. So this looks like looks like a pretty complex fight. And I'm really, really excited to see what exactly.
Freedom to head out and check in. Freedom to call and make your own call. Now get 4 gigs for $40 a month on a fast LTE network. It's time to discover freedom.
Okay, here we go. Unboxing time. The iPhone 8. What do you have? You have a portrait mode on there. All right, the audience, they want to see it. The fans want to see it. You know what? You don't have to do it. You don't have to do this one. You can skip this one. People don't really care about this phone. They're moving past this one. I mean, it's very similar to the other one. You don't really want to tell people to buy this. Yes, this is what everyone's been waiting for. This is the unboxing they want, not those other ones. Your unbox therapy. Yeah, let's get right into it. Even if they're in the market for like an iPhone, the iPhone 10 is coming out so soon. Like, why is Apple even putting this phone out? What kind of a cash grab is this? Okay, fine. So it has wireless charging. You've been asking for that for a while, but is that really enough? Everyone wants a new thing. They want something shiny. Come on. The iPhone 8, it's glass now. It has wireless charging. How long have you been saying that you want wireless charging? How many times? Does that really justify sitting down here, all these boxes, making a big deal of it? You know you're not that excited. This isn't that exciting to you. So let's get to it, as usual. Slide one over, pick a color, any color, unbox it. You've seen all these devices over the years. How many iPhones have you seen, right? 6, 7, now this? The form factor is essentially the same. The camera, the new portrait mode, you saw it all. You watched the keynote. Unbox Therapy, that's the name of this channel. How long have you been doing this? Why did you get into this in the first place, right? You were looking for innovation. You wanted the technological advancements. You're not feeling that excitement. So don't pretend, don't fake it. Don't put this out there. You unbox things. That's what you do. Oh, not today. Not right now. Not this product? Oh, really? What else are you gonna do? You got some other skills? Maybe they just want the truth here about this, about what you're doing. Take off the plastic wrap. Come on. I get it. I know it's hard. You can't be honest all the time. It's hard. You gotta bring the real stuff. Don't make this more complicated than it needs to be. They clicked on the video to see an unboxing. Explain that they're right, that they should want this. Can you really say what you're feeling? That's why it's better just avoid this one altogether. If you say what you're actually thinking, they're gonna try to call you out. They're gonna say, somebody else paid you. They're gonna be down there in the comments, claiming that you're not real, that it all got to your head. Do you know how successful this product is? You're gonna be the guy to not cover it. You're gonna be the guy to not film an unboxing video. Lou, where's your iPhone video? We're waiting for your iPhone video. Why don't you just make a statement, take a stand with this one, skip this one. Oh, you're just not up for it today. Okay. What are you gonna do? You gonna go get a job? You gonna go get a regular job? Oh, this YouTube thing is not for you? Tell them! Without being honest, who do you have? Who wants to listen? You made a name for yourself with this product, with that brand, iPhone. Is this gonna make their life better? Or you wanna tell them to pay their rent instead? To go on a trip somewhere, maybe experience something? Oh, you're thinking about it? What are you thinking deeply right now? Huh? Go ahead. Reach for it. This is the time right now. Take a stand. Leave it alone. Leave the box where it is. Do the thing you're supposed to do.
Hasgaroth Titanic Energy. So when he does this, it grants, it actually reforges us in his image, and granting us 15% increased damage and healing, and 15% increased movement speed as long as he's able to channel Titan Forging. So this looks like looks like a pretty complex fight. And I'm really, really excited to see what exactly this is going to entail. We still don't have actual footage. However, we can learn a lot more about the fight at this point. Now, this fight actually is not the main point of the video. However, the main point that I wanted to touch on was some new leaked information regarding the end of the raid. Now, this is going to have heavy, heavy spoilers from Illidan's message to Tyran, Malfurion, and some of the Titan audio. Now, last time I showed some of this stuff from Blizzard, I actually got a copyright strike on the video, so I'm not gonna actually play it, but I can kind of give you the gist here. So, it says here, previously through 7.3 data mining, we learned that Illidan has decided to sacrifice himself and become the Dark Titan's jailer. But in this new audio, we learn why he made this decision, and as well as a message he left for Tyrande, Malfurion, and you, the champion. So, this is what he says, and I'm going to kind of try to breeze through this because I don't want this video to be too long. The moment that the way to Argus opened, the instant my gaze fell upon the Legion's homeworld. I knew I would not be returning from it. I will face my destiny, whatever it may hold. Yet, I have left certain matters unsettled, old wounds that I would see mended. This crystal bears two messages, and there's actually a crystal that I assume that you can actually interact with here. The Aloridal crystal. Oh, it says right here. Yeah, actually right here. And basically in this he says, you know, it's a message for Malfurion and Tyran, basically apologizing and saying, you know what, we had our differences, we had all this, and while I may have gone about it in the wrong way, it was for the greater good, and I knew that my purpose was to save Azeroth from an unstoppable foe. and that is Sargeras. Now, there's actually information here for Malfurion and Tyrande reply, and you can come and read them. Basically, I sense a sorcerer's touch upon this crystal. She seems a little speculative of this, and then Malfurion, you can see the crystal rings out with a familiar voice. Now, you can come and actually listen to these if you would like to. I'm not going to play them again because I just don't want to get hit with any copyright on that. And you know what? Let me see here, because there's stuff from Amanthul and Aonar. What does this say? It's a minute.
Lend these mortals your strength, brother.
Okay, so yeah, you can hear their voices. It sounds like mostly sounds that just come from the actual encounter, so I'll take that back off. This is brand new to me too, so I'm discovering this. I was reading about this earlier, but I'm looking at it at the same time as you guys have. So basically, this is just a nice kind of final ode to be in relation to Illidan. I mean, this is kind of like the send-off, it appears. But this really still isn't even the biggest spoiler. I honestly would have to say this next thing is, so biggest spoiler right here. Click off the video if you don't want to see this. And you got 3 seconds. You got 3, 2, 1. Okay, fuck you. We're watching. Okay, let me get to this. This, my friends, is actually already on the map in World of Warcraft. Now, if you guys are not familiar, you don't recognize this area, allow me to reacquaint you really quick. Welcome to Silithus, one of the oldest and probably most commonly long forgotten zones in the history of World of Warcraft. If you're a new player, you may not have any comprehension of the significance of this zone, and quite frankly, overall, I think until very recently, I really didn't either. However, this zone, being one of the one of the first zones really ever introduced into World of Warcraft, is home to pretty much barren wasteland. We see a lot of Silithid, these bug-like creatures. We see a lot of their structures. We see crystals. We see sand and dirt, a lot of which holds pretty much no significance to World of Warcraft in its current state. This zone was actually back from vanilla and is home to one of the most legendary and, quite frankly, difficult raids in the history of World of Warcraft. Now, while it has been several expansions since this zone was actually relevant, and quite some time has passed, many players have forgotten pretty much about its entire existence. But apparently, Sargeras did not. As I'm about to show you in the following clips, I'm going to talk about the old gods, and one in particular that was actually hidden within Ahn'Qiraj, or AQ40, as it was better known back in the day. This raid instance was gruelingly long and contained many Silithid enemies, really. I mean, the bug-like creatures, massive in size, were some of the most difficult bosses, especially because you had to actually coordinate quite a few more people back in the day. Now, while I can't speak on this from personal experience, as I did not play back in vanilla, I can say that there is heavy significance in this instance. Not really because of the Silithid and the bugs themselves, as I continuously refer to them as, but because of the old god Cthulhu, who was found to be the last boss of the instance, and is a manifestation of essentially void energy as an old god, and was actually manipulating everything around him, I assume it's a him based on his voice, to succumb to his forever lasting darkness. And I do believe, based on the void presence, or rather old god specifically presence in the past, that there may actually be more hidden here than we had ever anticipated. And it seems to have turned out, based on, again, what I'm about to show you after this clip, that Sargeras may have known something that we did not as well. Now, I will talk about how Magni did see this coming, what has actually happened, but I have to admit that I never did. I did really think that with Sargeras' burning hatred and fear of the Void and the Old Gods, that perhaps we would go back to a place where we found their presence in the past. However, you're about to see that Sargeras did far more damage than any other presence likely could have. This zone is pretty large, and the massive gaping hole that you're about to see in it may be exemplary for the exact reason why the Void or the Old Gods will be returning to Azeroth. So now...
Destiny 2, rated teen. Play on PS4 Pro.
PlayStation.
To Azeroth. So now that I've talked a little bit about Silithus, this is Silithus. This is a gigantic hole in the ground. Almost, not almost, it is a fissure. A gigantic, gaping, massive hole in the ground. And here is my speculation on this. Now, what I think happens, and I think in the key art from what we saw with Sargeras siphoning from Azeroth, I think that this is what happened. I think that he came and he was in Silithus, and based on what I just explained about Silithus, this kind of makes sense, that with the Old God presence from Cthulhu from before, he seems to have ripped open a hole in Azeroth and is trying to obtain something from within it. Now, is he trying to get to Azeroth? That's what I would have to assume, considering it is foretold that Azeroth is potentially the most powerful Titan that has ever lived. And the thing is, when they spoke about, there's dialogue from the Whispers of Il'gynoth, I believe it was, where he says, at the hour of her third death, she will usher in our coming. And I have to wonder, with the Sundering, with Cataclysm, all of that, if this is the third death of Azeroth as described in the Whispers of Il'gynoth. Is this massive fissure that Sargeras likely attempted to reach into, is this the third death of Azeroth? And there's many videos that discuss that particular line of dialogue, in fact, from individuals who are much more lore inclined than I. But the fact of the matter is that the biggest fitting piece, people have thought about Sylvanas because of how she had died before, but apparently she's already had 3 deaths. They've speculated it could be other characters. But I have to think that it would be this. It would be the third death of Azeroth, technically. Now, you know, in a way. Now, one thing that also makes me more inclined to believe that that is exactly what it's talking about is the fact that we did have Old God presence here before in the form of Cthulhu. And I have a feeling with Il'gynoth being, you know, the entirely Old God centric, what we've seen with the Whispers and everything, obviously just his creature, his being. I have to wonder if this gigantic fissure being ripped in the ground by Sargeras will unleash yet another Old God, potentially N'Zoth. Now, a lot of people, from what I've seen, what I've read, speculate that N'Zoth is underwater, actually, with the whole Ajar thing. If you haven't learned much about that, there's plenty of videos that you can kind of go and watch and reference that. But I have to wonder, is this how the Old Gods come back? Is this how the Void, the actual coming of the Void into our world again, is this how it happens? And it kind of makes sense, like I said, when you think about it with the third death. This hole is massive, literally fucking massive. And I showed you before, well, actually, I guess I wouldn't have, right